Hi guys, time for another episode. This week my father asked me, what game will you do next? I said, I don't know. Don't really mind which one it is. Well, so he picked one at random and guess what he picked? Striker Pro for the CDI. Great, huh? A football game. I don't really like sports games or sports in general. Anyway, I did some research on it and some interesting things turned up. Let's take a look. You see, in 1992, the company behind Striker Pro, Rage Software, already made the game Striker, which came out for multiple platforms. Now look at the box art of Striker. Then look at the box art of Striker Pro. Looks kinda familiar, doesn't it? Must be an updated port, right? With it being Pro and all. Well, since we're going to look at an updated port, let's just take a brief look at where we're coming from. So here's some footage from the SNES version. Well, we have an opening tune. This game was released in 1993 in Europe. In the US, they got this game too, I think, but I'm not really sure. Striker got praise for its fast-paced gameplay and for the new camera angle that this game introduced to the football games. We'll look at the camera in just a minute. First, let's take a real quick look at the options. Let's see here, options, right, well, not a whole lot of choices here. However, let's take a brief look at the control scheme. Wow, all 4 face buttons are used in this game. I wonder how the CDI version does this with only 2 buttons, or 3 at most. Oh well, let's move on. Let's start up a friendly match, and here you find another options menu, and this time it's loaded with options. Just look at it. Wow, this was quite extensive for the time. Anyway, let's go on. Select the team, and let's play some ball. You can see this trademark Striker camera right away. It was, well, sort of 3D back then. And I'm only showing you this footage for a bit. I don't want to bore you with me playing this game, since I'm absolutely terrible at it. It's by no means the best football game ever created. It's just that it's the predecessor for the game we are going to take a look at next. So it seemed like Striker was a decent football game. So then came Rage with Striker Pro on the CDI. Interesting, Pro must be better, right? Well, let's check it out. Let's start it off. An intro. Uh-oh. This doesn't look very promising, does it? Let's just move on now. I did edit this video a bit to cut down the load times, since this is a rare CDI title that has load times. Anyway, here's the language selection screen. That's nice, that's very rare on the CDI systems too. Most games are just one language, so this is plus points. On to the main menu. You might notice right away that the presentation just flat out sucks. It's barren, it's boring, and there's no music whatsoever. What the hell? There's no excuse for this. I mean, come on, it's on the CD for crying out loud. Multimedia is supposed to be the CDI's strong point, not the weakest link. On the other hand, we haven't seen any other parts of the game yet, so maybe it is the strongest point of the game. Let's hope not. It does seem to have a decent amount of gameplay options, just like the SNES version. It even has one that the SNES version didn't have, ball control. Well, that's because in the SNES version this was an ability. Every team had different ball control. Here, all the teams are just the same. On the other hand, the SNES version did have some other options, this one doesn't. How pro is that? Once you have decided on the options, it's time to play. Let's pick a team and let's go. Okay, let's go. I wanna be Holland. Come on. Why does it have to be so damn slow? I don't see what was wrong with the old setup of the SNES version. And here the teams don't even make a difference. I mean, they have different kit colors, but that's it. And the match is away, and holy shit, what kind of graphics are these? My god, what did they do? Look at it. It's atrocious. It's ugly. It's... All the players look the same, there's very little detail, and the whole thing is just one pixelated mess. Oh, and the sound doesn't fare much better either. It has one whole track of noises and cheering sounds, but it looks so fast it's just boring and not interesting. The quality is pretty poor too. It's also pretty funny that the trademark thing of Striker is just removed. That camera angle I talked about earlier, remember? Well, it's gone. Instead you get this top-down view like the early 80s games. Well, pathetic. My Commodore 64 has graphics that can rival this one. And probably plays a lot better too. Yeah, let's talk about that, gameplay. Well, it sucks. I mean, you only have one button, to shoot, to pass, to everything. Everything has to be done with only button 1. Because button 2 opens the menu. Like you need that. There's not a whole lot in there. They could have used the button 4 better to make a distinctive button for passing and for shooting. Well, but that's just me maybe. Now about this button situation. You see, at first the Philips CDI had only 2 buttons. Button 1 and button 2. On this controller, both these were button 1 and button 2. Now some developers became original and said, let's make a third button where button 1 and 2 are pressed together. That's great. Later came controllers that had a third button, which basically meant button 1 and 2 together. Great. Since in a football game you'll never shoot and pass together at the same time, why not use that feature? But no! Why would you? Why do hard work? Apart from that button problem, it's just no fun to play. The whole game moves pretty slowly, the frame rate's just horrible at times, and the ball often lives a life of its own. I really didn't expect much going into this game, however, as barren as this game is, I'm really surprised. Seeing how many early CD-based games were chock full of useless media, I half expect some lousy commentary or some video images to liven things up a bit. But this game has absolutely nothing. It's barren, bland and very boring. Don't play this game. I give this game the red card. Get out of here.